Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dave Klein, also known as Dave Control Live. So as some of you may know, last week I was at an event where they allowed us to play and check out Scholar of the First Sin early. So I'm finally now allowed to post and talk about my experiences with it as we were sort of under an embargo. So I thought I'd let you guys know my thoughts on it and what you can come to expect with it. So that's what this video is going to be about. All Scholar of the Lost Sin, things that aren't included in the free update. So according to the people I was talking to at Bandai Namco, they were telling me that the version I was playing is supposedly the final version. It is the version that they're going to be selling, supposedly. Now, in the middle of them saying that, they actually inserted a USB drive to update the version we were playing. So I can't say with 100% confidence that is the case, but that is what they were at least claiming. There are things I didn't run into that I was talking to Vadi, who was there, who said he had a longer chance to play it than I did at the offices at Bandai Namco, and he said that there are things I actually didn't run into that he did. But let's go ahead and start with the graphics, because I think that's the most major, obvious thing that you're going to see, especially with the PS4, Xbox One, and X11 versions on Steam that they're really trying to push here. So I'd be lying if I were to say that the graphics don't look better, because they do. The graphics are absolutely better. They're noticeably better. Now, take this for a grain of salt, PC players, because I am an Xbox 360 player when it comes to the Souls franchise. So, as far as the PC version goes, I don't know how much better it looks than the PC version. I can say it definitely looks better than the Xbox 360 version, 100%. And all that lighting that was supposed to be in the original release of Dark Souls 2 seems to be in place, if even forced a little bit. So, for example, there's an area above the Cardinal Tower that I went to where you usually find an Estus Flash shard. So I was going to go, explore everything, check out that area, and as soon as I walked into the room, it suddenly got really dark in that room. Darker than it was in Dark Souls 2, to the point where I was really legitimately thinking, man, it would actually be a good idea to have a torch in this area. There's an area that you go underground, just beyond the Cardinal Tower, that they were initially pushing in the E3 demo that was really dark there, showing like, hey, you're gonna really want a torch. And that area, again, it suddenly drops in light. The darkness suddenly shifts. Now, I was actually able to see, and I think I was actually able to see better in this than I was when I played it back during the E3 version a couple of years ago, although it's kind of hard to remember, but you can still somewhat see, but you actually do think, man, a torch would be useful. I didn't have a chance to check out any other areas with the torch, but the lighting is definitely improved. It looks cool when you kill an enemy. There's little the souls that come out of them have a little glow to them, so when you're in the darkness, that actually ends up looking really cool. But lighting's definitely improved. It's definitely there, and the graphics are definitely improved as well. So that is all improved, just like they said. As far as other things they've been talking about, new enemy placements, that is there. The other thing I noticed that they hadn't been advertising, at least I didn't notice them advertising, is new item placements. So, for example, above the Cardinal Tower, I went to go get an Estus Flash Shard. It wasn't there. I think if I remember correctly, I ended up finding it up where the Pursuer was, and you had that initial Pursuer fight if you go in that kind of top arena. Which, speaking of which, there happened to be other enemies up there I didn't know about, so when I was in the middle of my Pursuer fight, because I was like, I'm going to take this guy down this time early, a couple enemies decided to get in the way of my fight. So, yeah, new enemy placements are definitely apparent. There's the big turtle warriors in new spots and rearranged. There were no Hay Knights that I noticed within the Forest of Fallen Giants. The Hay Knight was actually, surprise, in Hade's Tower of Flame, there were a bunch of Hay Knights scattered around. We weren't allowed to record Hade's Tower of Flame, but I did actually get to play it, so yeah, Hay Knights were all scattered around there, so they'd actually moved the Hay Knights to a place that makes a little more sense for them. Hade's Tower of Flame, Hay Knights, makes sense, yeah. So, everything's kind of rearranged with enemy placements, as they said, and item placements as well. You're going to be finding different items in different areas, which might lead you to experiment with different weapons, which is pretty cool as opposed to what you usually use. So I think that's actually a good idea. And yeah, the enemy placements, it definitely does make you second guess if you should go through something, especially if you're trying to speed run it, because enemies you're not expecting to be there are going to be there. There's going to be more enemies trying to follow you. There's actually more invaders, Reddit NPC invaders that come in that are as smart as the ones in the DLCs. So if you remember the ones like at Eliam Lois, who were in the Ivory King DLC, they seem to be on that level of smartness, which is pretty cool. I didn't get to check out the PvP. That's not something I was able to do. I only got to play the PvE, and as far as I was allowed to play through Force of the Fallen Giants, and I was allowed to play through Hade's Tower of Flame. And I finished up by beating the Ornstein clone, basically. And just so you guys know, one of the From Software employees was there, and he actually noted, and one of the guys came and was like, he's really impressed with your style of play. He thinks you're really good at this game. Just saying, just saying. So, the real question is, so everything that they've said is going to be there seems to be there. You know, better graphics, different item locations, different enemy locations, 6-player PvP I couldn't experiment with, but, you know, I assume it's there. So at the end of the day, I think those are the main differences with Scholar of the First Sin. I don't know if there's going to be a new NPC, but the real question is it worth it to get it, right? I mean, that's the real question. Should you be purchasing this update? You're going to get the free update that comes out, I believe, today when I'm posting this video. And yeah, big embargo. I was hoping to have this out before the update was up, but I wasn't allowed to. But yeah, so is it worth it? Now, I asked during my interview, which is also posted today, I asked, hey, is there going to be a new NPC story character in the Scholar of the First update, Scholar of the Sin update? And the global producer who I interviewed wouldn't give me an answer. I also then asked about price details, and it sounds like there is going to be a discount for people who play on PC who have previously purchased the DLC. Now, he wouldn't really share with me the information. I have it on the download that it's going to be, I don't want to say this the actual price that's supposedly going to be, but it's definitely not going to be a full price game if you already have the PC thing from everything that I've been hearing and from what the global producer seemed to be hinting at in my interview that he didn't want to reveal. So depending on the price point, it's really going to depend on if you think it's worth it or not. How much do you really want to replay Dark Souls 2, especially with Bloodborne coming out in March? It's really going to come down to you. Now, for me personally, from playing through it, yes, I do think it's cool what they did. It's fun. If you want to play Dark Souls 2 again, great, go for it. Personally, I think that if you have a PS4, you should get Bloodborne, and then if you get a discount on Scholar of the First Sin, then think about it. That's personally what I think, if I'm being completely honest. Go with Bloodborne, because it's a new game. If you really, really want to experience Scholar of the First Sin again, you know, this is a fun way to do it. You're going to get new item placements, you're going to get new enemy placements. It legitimately is there, the lighting legitimately is better, the graphics are better. If you haven't had a chance to play Dark Souls 2, this is the version you should get. This is essentially Game of the Year edition with all the DLCs included, and better graphics, and better lighting, and better versions of everything. So yeah, definitely pick up this version if you're going to get it. But, you know, if you already played on 360 or PS3, you're not going to get a discount on one of the new gen versions of it. Honestly, a $60 price point, if I'm assuming that's what it's going to be, I can't say I'd say pay $60 for it unless you haven't bought any of the DLCs yet and you're dying to play the DLCs on a disc. Then yeah, you know, those DLCs were originally $45, so essentially you're getting the $45 DLC package included with better graphics and everything else on it if you have a PS4, Xbox One, or X11 for your Steam. I mean, I think there is a version for Xbox 360 and PS3, but from my understanding, it's not going to have the better graphics, and I don't know about the item placements and all that. That I actually don't know. I just know it's going to have the DLC included. But as far as the better graphics, that's specifically for the next-gen versions, from my understanding. I mean, overall, this is essentially a Game of the Year edition of Dark Souls 2. It's like when Dark Souls 1 came out with the Prepare to Die edition that came with Artorias of the Abyss DLC was included. It's essentially that for Dark Souls 2, but they're also adding better graphics and a few new tweaks to it, like 6-player PvP. So, if you want to buy it again, you know, go ahead and buy it again. It is a better version. I'd be lying if I were to say it's not. And I'm kind of talking in circles here. But I just want to re-emphasize that, yes, it's a better version, but if you already played the game, you already played the game. So, I mean, that's kind of what it is. So, it was cool to play. I'm very thankful for Bandai Namco for inviting me out to check it out, so thank those guys so much for that. And yeah, you know, it'll be really up to you. It's going to be completely up to you with if you think it's worth the price point and you really want to play the game again. I mean, everything that they've said is going to be in it is in it. So, you know, at least the version I played was like that. There's surprises like a dragon was supposed to appear in Hades Tower Flame that didn't when I was playing that, according to Vadi, it did for him, or something like that. Something crazy was supposed to appear. So there's cool stuff like that they're not telling us. I wish they did. That would have made it even more so worth playing again. I just don't know, because my experience, they didn't have anything other than different enemy placements. So, yeah, it makes a replay through more fun, but it's $60 price point for a replay through of a game you already played, maybe not. So Anyways, guys, that's sort of my final conclusions or my final thoughts on it at the moment. I'll be doing some more Scholar of the First Sin videos, like lore on the new lore that they've already updated and made some of my lore videos a little obsolete. So, yeah, I'll be doing a full lore update on Scholar of the First Sin, and obviously I'll be going full force on Bloodborne mode, starting as soon as possible. I'll be making more Bloodborne videos to prep and do Bloodborne, so you can expect both of those from me, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys. Later.